1. Boost ignition and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back. Episode 199. Oh yeah, we getting there. We had a holiday. We were in Russia. We know we got a breakdown. Get seated, because this is going to be a big one. We're going to have to go over a whole lot of stuff, because you know we're making money in Fort Lauderdale. But before we get into any of that 13-card bout of the juiciest little fights we've seen in a little while, how have you been, Lesbos, last time? How did you do in Russia?
A crazy week. I had a great week in Russia, and sorry we didn't come to you guys. Life.
Truth.
It will be hopefully looking way up from here. It can't look way down from here, but thank God we have you guys, and so we didn't get to break down the card.
Well, we didn't do our post-show recap ricochet that usually follows.
Which can't be as long at all. I'm just not even excited about Russia anymore.
I feel like most of us were on the side of Russians gonna Russia and roll through the night. A lot of Russians winning throughout the night, and maybe some dirty splits, a lot of finishes. I mean, tons of highlights, but it was set up fights. Everybody saw the painting on the wall. Lesbo getting 9 out of 11 out of Russia. Having a good night. Roxanne Modafferi being one of the best underdogs of the night. Unfortunately, neither of us picked her, but we were both reading between the lines on DraftKings. I had Roxanne Modafferi on a few DraftKings cards, and she really came through, but overall, I only did 8 of 11. So
neither of us thought there was going to be a blowout there. We thought Shevchenko, the name alone, was kind of a heavy thing. And I have to say that Roxanne Modafferi, her body was on point. She looked like the best version of herself.
I would totally agree with that. She definitely looked better than she ever has. And just showing that grittiness and toughness. And she just fills a lot of LaTB rules as far as people we like to bet on. And it's just so scary with Roxanne Modafferi.
She's actually, the grinding fight there is her against Jessica Ai. That's the better fight. And people, this will be the question now. Will Jessica Ai steal any of that Shevchenko thunder? Because people are like, ooh, Jessica Ai could do that to Shevchenko as well.
Totally.
Or do you think Pena is a better wrestler than Jessica Ai?
I would say, Modafferi, you mean?
Mm-mm. Because Valentina Shevchenko went against Pena already.
Okay.
So if she were to go against Ai.
Better wrestling, I'm gonna say, is Jessica Ai.
Oh, so maybe is it telling? Or does Modafferi look that much better?
I think Shevchenko
just
isn't that good. And again, it's that namesake that keeps on going through. I mean, the number one thing that people were tweeting about Shevchenko was, again, her sister Valentina, corner, everything is still about the champion. And it was a profile fight over the night. It definitely has been making a lot of headlines. Love the Twitter stuff that been seeing from Roxanne and her friend Dashana. Oh, I can't think of the name. She's always on there. She's got the cockatoo. She's the cockatoo lady is what I can think of in my head. Pro MMA fighter at the Invicta scene. I'll get her name eventually. But either way, throughout Russia, we had some other profile fights that ended up being pretty fun. We ended up having, if I dare say so myself, I was talking about that Nardiev kind of outbreak fight. And even though we had a loser in Amin, it was definitely a breakthrough performance and a loss decision against, was it Makhachev? I'm trying to get back to that card eventually. But
Islam Makhachev
in the co-main event, but the wrestling that we saw in this fight was
you know how we could go back through the fight easily by just going through our Instagram account, Lappy_MMA, on obviously the Instagram. But we can go back through, and so it's Islam Makhachev, and he defeated Arman by a unanimous decision. But Arman held up just like you said he was going to.
Sarukian came through, and even on a loss, that young man, a lot of people are hyped for right reasons. His wrestling, again, watch that technically as about all the grappling exchanges in the first round. A lot of people didn't think Taisuvov or Harukian would be able to keep up with it, and he did. Profile fight. That was probably the funnest fight of the night, I would say. As far as profile, that wasn't a knockout, all technical avenue, and we had a lot of finishes throughout the night. I mean, it started off with a 15-second spinning kick KO to debuting Fitsev's head. Mustayev ended up coming in and taking care of the debuter. Otslianchuk Michel, which we were both high on. I mean, that guy came out and showed he's a precision striker, getting 3 knockdowns in 1 round. And how do you feel about the Yakovlev-Silva fight at 155? Do you remember that Russian rapper?
No, I can't even think of Russia anymore. I remember Overeem's fight. I remember Overeem dim knees. The rest of it.
Best knees in the game. Intercepted knees.
Yeah, he totally did. It was pretty much, it was dead on. Every time he went for a takedown, it was Overeem. There was a little scary moment for a second, but he said he had never submitted Overeem before, so.
Right. So taken away from that, really the breakout stars, probably Sarukian, and there was another young man, Evolev, the grinding mentality we saw out of that young man, who was just DraftKings gold as far being a debuter. But again, the Russia card, go back and get it on your ESPN.
Sorry we didn't
Plus.
get the big breakdown, but we come at, we at least do 100 shows a year.
Ooh, we get in there. We get in there.
We can have a day off every once in a while.
Woo! It's tough. It's tough out there. Grinding, and we got a heavy weekend coming up in person here. If you're going to want to see LaTB, you're going to have a chance to meet us over at the BB&T Center in Fort Lauderdale, because you know we're going to be coming in hot, making them bets.
Speaking of coming in hot, did you see all the fighters that popped recently?
Yeah, 100%, and USADA is garbage. Did you see all of the information that they were also dropping as far as they only test about 30% of their tests for EPO? What are we paying them for? To do what? Fingers in their butts and stick their fingers in pee? Get out of here. Come on. I got an uncle who could test better than this. I got a Theo.
And they're like, it'll be expensive. And
duh.
Well, it's not like you're giving the money to the fighters.
It's not like you got a multi-million-dollar contract to do your job.
Or just the next company you get that's not Reebok, get them to pay for it.
100%. So all of them being retrogressed to Sean O'Malley being one of these individuals. He's officially able to fight for his 6-month suspension.
Yeah.
And who are the other couple names we saw in there that still have 2
Montano.
months? Nico Montano had a toothache. She ended up popping her, them tonsils. Need a little juice for them tonsils.
I feel like all the people that got the 6 months is almost like they didn't mean to. They're not, because it's not EPOs they're popping, or it is. It's like
tainted supplements is what I kept seeing.
Like they're all,
which everyone says is the new who's your manager? Look at the manager, and you're gonna find out if it's a tainted supplements or if it popped. So it's one of these things that we regularly see. The same management guys just seem to know how to figure out the right paperwork to be like, oh yeah. Look. I wonder if there's even somebody paying off some other company to just say, yeah, we accidentally ran a shipment of steroids through this one instead of that one.
Well, we need Sugar Shane to get a little. Do you think? Yeah, never mind. I won't get conspiratorial.
We got time.
Off that, what about the fighter that got in a fight, Lima, that got in a fight with his Uber driver?
I did not see that. I thought you were going to come at me with Darren Till. What?
Yeah, I think he's a Brazilian fighter, and he got in a fight with his Uber driver, and his Uber driver killed him.
Jeez, well, that's bad customer service off the top. I'm just saying, you're not supposed to kill.
And I guess Uber fired the accused driver that was accused of killing Rodrigo de Lima.
But he wasn't fighting actively.
I didn't want to just say de Lima because
there's a million of them and a million Rodrigos. Okay, yeah, he hasn't fought for a while though. He's been out of the UFC for a little while, so it was probably a gun involved, I'm assuming. And that's unfortunate. I thought you were talking about a whole different part of the world where you had a drunk young man stealing a taxi, GTA style, and driving away, eventually getting pulled over and arrested for...
Oh my God, I only heard the beginning of this story with the hotel room.
So supposedly, he stole a taxi. I don't know if it was Uber or if it was one of those London black town cars, or what are those guys that have to remember all the crazy maps and stuff? Do you know what I'm talking about? They have it in their head. They don't need a crazy phone. All they got is a memory.
Not a taxi?
Yeah, they're taxi. Well, it's a specific company. I remember seeing like how it's made or like how
Yellow
a company
cab?
runs. Essentially, but
Green cab? If you're in Key West, pink cab?
Ooh.
I don't know what it's called. I just know they're pink in color. What else is going on in MMA news? Anything? Anything except UFC Fort Lauderdale?
T. Ferg's wife officially lifted a restraining order, so that's getting back on board and squared away. Good for T. Ferg. He's been really popping off on the social media. How do you feel about him flipping off the camera while he's getting a tailor suit and like trying to stay relevant, but still, I don't know. He's in a weird gray area for me right now.
I agree. The weird part is Dustin obviously gets the fight with Khabib, and I want him to have the winner of that fight.
Sure.
It's almost, dare I say, that Tony's the real champion, and we all kind of... He's like a champion that almost finished the division except for these two guys.
I don't know. I don't think we can because he just didn't fight the top of the champion. He never fought the champion.
None of them have fought the other. All of them have only fought 2 of the 5 beasts.
Sure.
All of them.
Right.
And it's like, legacy-wise, you got to fight Ferguson. You got to fight Khabib.
Yes.
And everyone, for the Johnny-come-latelys, you have to fight Conor.
100%.
The saddest part is Dustin's had the hardest road closest to Tony's. And in my opinion, those 2 MFers, those are the ones that if I'm Justin Gaethje, I would want to fight just for my legacy, or if you're somebody that cares about your legacy.
Right.
Those are the 2 guys. It's such an interesting story up there. It will be a time like that we look back at MMA and we'll be like, that was a golden era. That was a golden era in 155.
Oh, it really was and is. We still have so many profile fights. He can come back still. We've seen crazier things. Tony Ferguson is the type of person with the type of mentality as well to be 38, 40 years old and be like, I'm good, man. I'm still loose. I still dance. I just dance with no music. Right? Is he doing that all the time? Maybe there is music. I just can't hear it.
He just is all about his, like, he seems like a guy that's all about his chi.
Yeah. So, any other MMA, Twitterverse stuff, you know we got a juicy one ahead of us. You know we've been chomping at the bit for this one for a while. 13-card bout coming out of Fort Lauderdale, BB&T Center. It's been rerouted every which way. We had so many main events change. It started off with Bocachina Romero. Then it turned into Souza Romero. Now it's Souza versus Hermansson on 3 weeks' notice. And that's only the main event. We got so many goddamn profile fights underneath here. I don't know where to start. Usually it's from the bottom to the top, and it's going to start with 170 pounders.
And we're in Fort Lauderdale. It's official. It's not Sunrise. It's not Miami.
Everyone keeps saying Sunrise, Florida.
Well, it's in Sunrise.
Right? So, but
Fort Lauderdale maybe is the more known city, or
right?
Maybe Sunrise is just like a suburb.
We moved from Miami. We were going to Miami at the beginning of the year. I had my Big Willie style CD in my console ready to go. Now half the time I got to go to Fort Lauderdale. Got to lock my car now. So, whatever.
I ain't going there because I don't know how the people of Fort Lauderdale are.
I love Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale is amazing. It's been nothing but good to us here.
Is that where the Floral Castle is?
No, that's in Homestead, is it not?
Yeah. Is that by Fort Lauderdale?
I don't think so. I think there's a good amount ways down, but beautiful state. If you get a chance, come down, check it out. Beautiful time of the year. Maybe don't check it out. Maybe stay away. It's been pretty full lately.
And look at a map.
Yes. Pay attention to a map in Florida. You will get lost. just like some of these guys did back in the day. Coming back around, Court McGee went to that other side. He died a little bit. Was he hanging out in Florida? We don't know. Probably Floridians were the guys who called the ambulance because he did die overdosing. Joe Rogan likes to talk about it all the time. And Court McGee is one of these guys who has next level grinding ability. We know he's a wrestler coming off the Contender Series. He is officially 19-7. Had a spotty couple fights. It came off a 2-fight losing streak to Ben Saunders in a decision, and then losing to Sean Strickland. As of late, he beat Alex Garcia 5 months ago, and he had talked about how he was really going through injuries through those other ones. Got his life back on track at 34. Court McGee's one of these guys who can eat with some of the heaviest punches you'll ever see, which is good and bad, which means he's getting hit. So his head movement isn't the best. His boxing and striking in general has evolved. But again, his bread and butter is get you up to the fence, get your legs down to the ground, and ground and pound until you just can't breathe anymore. Not necessarily the heaviest punches. McGee has a couple finishes in there, but they were against spotty competition. Diego Lima is the lesser of the Lima brothers, unfortunately. His brother out of Bellator, we always got to talk about because he's a contender at the 155-pound, 70-pound division. But either way, Diego de Lima here has had a 13-7 record. He's a Muay Thai striker with gaping holes in his ground game. De Lima can't fight the takedown off well, and once he gets to the ground, he can't fight off submissions as well. He's definitely more of a one-trick pony, where his striking, kickboxing-wise, De Lima on point, or Lima is on point. Beautiful knees, beautiful clinch. At distance striking, great right hand, sets up nice traps, but always ends up getting pushed back to the fence and getting his legs taken out from under him, and ends up ending up on his back and just riding out rounds. He just always doesn't find a way to be able to get up, and against the grinder like Court McGee, it's hard for good guys to get out from under Court McGee, let alone somebody who's already compromised there. There's a reason we got a minus 170 favorite in Court McGee. He's going to eat a couple shots to get in, but he'll eat that uppercut, that 2 shots, and after the second and third takedown defense, I feel like Court McGee's just going to keep that wrestling going. De Lima does also Lima starts to fade as the fight goes on. At 29 years old, the top team Atlanta guy has just shown us enough that he's kind of one-dimensional. So stylistically, this is a really bad matchup. I could see Lima getting the first round finish. If not, it's going to be a decision for Court McGee. I'm going to go Court McGee. I had Lima earlier on in the week, submission or TKO round number 1, but yeah, it's that wrestling. We got to stick to the LaTB rules here, and this is a grind fest all day long. Who do you have in this fight and why?
I totally agree for all the same reasons. I just think that old dirty grind, and it seems like more and more and more of the wrestlers are dancing with the girl who brought him to the dance. And Court McGee, he usually plays a smart game, and he isn't a chinny guy. Yes, Lima has that one punch power, but Chad Laprise has kind of been on his way out the door.
Totally.
Anyhow, and anyone that got hit by that punch that Diego landed would have gotten knocked out anyway. I'm just going to go with McGee for a nasty, grimy decision. I think we're going to have an actual slow start to the night.
Interesting. We are going to be in the crowd. You know, we get there from the first fight of the night. I don't come in main event. You know, I'll be cheering from the first one to the last one.
We're going to eat ahead of time so we don't have to spend our money on food in there.
Oh, what? You don't like $15 personal-sized pizzas
I know.
that were baked 2 days ago?
all rubber pizza, all steep stairs. Give me a beer so big, there's no way it's not going to be warm.
Warm by halfway. You have to chug it.
I wish you could get a beer and a ticket, or like have a cup that changed color or lasted through 2 beers and then it fucking just fell in your hand. I don't know. There's got to be a way.
Light bulb.
There's got to be a way. There's an app a ticket would be fine. A bracelet. You could just scan it. It'd be like, sorry, you already got your second beer.
100%. Bracelet method. Definitely way to go. Court McGee, 8,700 being the favorite against Lima's 7,500 on DraftKings. Are you going to stay away from the first fight of the night? staple here at LaTB. Are you going to end up playing this?
Yes. Stay away. Anything could happen in that first fight of the night. I might have it on 1 or 2.
And who would you have out of the 2?
Court McGee.
How much? People like this. People like our percentages.
1 or 2. I'm probably going to play 6 cards.
Oh, okay.
And I'll have it on 1, maybe 2, but 1.
I feel like I'm going to get deep. I'm going to get dirty. I'm going to probably get upwards in that like 20
How
to
much
30.
is he?
He is 8,700.
Ooh, no.
That's pretty steep.
Nope,
he has to get a
for
finish.
First fight of the night, and he's not going to get a finish.
That's where I could see myself on a throwaway card or one of those like where it's all finishes potential. The guy to finish
How
more likely here
How many cards are you going to
is
play?
Lima. I'm going to probably go upwards of 25.
25 cards.
Upwards, if not above 25 potentially. But yeah, because I'm in person. I enjoy it. I felt like last time we did it, that was when we're sitting in between during commercial breaks, I got time to look at my DraftKings. I got time to be like, ooh, I'm making money.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We have a different betting styles.
Oh, for sure. 100%. That's why you don't come to get the same thing here at LaTB if you haven't noticed. You don't come to get two generally males talking about the same fights over and over again.
Maybe you spread it all out. I kind of go all in on...
I would agree, and I would commend you because you're definitely beating me as far as it goes head-to-head in DraftKings.
I can't believe how many cards, because I played 6 cards on Russia. I thought I was going to play like 2 or 3.
Damn.
Yeah, I wasn't really excited about Russia cards.
Agreed. Apparently you were.
I know, so maybe I'll end up playing 10, because I already have some reserved on DraftKings. But yeah, I'm excited about it. This will be fun.
I'm incredibly excited. One that I'm excited for, we have Angela Hill coming in against Jodie Esquibel at 115 pounds. Angela Hill coming off a 2-fight losing streak, being 8-6. She is a striker, Muay Thai coming out of Alliance. We know what we're getting with Angela Hill. We've broken her down fights time and time
I feel
again.
like yesterday.
Right? And this did just officially happen. How long ago? About 4 weeks ago? Less than a month ago, she lost to Marcos via decision. Ground. She lost a split decision to Courtney Casey. She's been able to beat fighters like Marina Moroz in decisions, but Angela Hill is a split decision type of fighter. She just, fight IQ isn't at the highest, or it's her conditioning. It's just, we know that you push her up against the fence, you stop those feet from moving, you can get her to the ground, and once Angela Hill gets to the ground, it's pretty hard for her to get back up. And her conditioning has been getting better over time, but she still just doesn't have that next gear that we all thought she had for a long time. It's just been proven for me at 31. She just kind of stays there idling in fights. She's gotten a few knockouts, but it's not been against the highest competition. And Jodie Esquibel is not the highest competition, unfortunately. At 6-4, Esquibel's 32 years old, a year older, coming off of a 2-fight losing streak as well. At 115, is this a loser leaves town type of a fight?
The 115... I feel like this is a gimme fight. Esquibel, I can't imagine she's still heavy on her contract. Angela Hill, I think it's a gimme fight for her.
I kind of agree with that. Esquibel did lose a decision to KK. She also lost a decision to Jessica Aguilar. Let that one sink in. Jessica Aguilar. This is why I bet on Jessica Aguilar.
No threat of taking you down and no power on the feet. So it's really just battle. Exactly.
If there's a fighter that you can kind of say Angela Hill fits more the prototype for, it's a KK type of fighter, is Angela Hill. So I see exactly what you're saying. And Angela Hill's takedown defense is better, and Esquibel doesn't have the level of takedowns of Marcos by any means whatsoever. Doesn't have the power as well. Esquibel also tends to come in as the wrestler, but has really been getting out wrestled and just outstruck everywhere. She's coming out of Jackson Wink.
They have smart game plans.
Game plans. Maybe she tries to get this to the ground. Maybe she doesn't. Esquibel's gas tank as well. She just looks like she really starts to struggle going into that second round. This has dirty split written all over for me.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I'm going to end up staying away. I got Hill decision, but I don't like this. I ain't going to touch this with 10-foot pole. It's early on in the night. I'm going to be watching, cheering, listen for the Ric Flair, woo! Because you going to get some when they're sitting there just looking at each other for 5 minutes.
Walking around, running backward.
Exactly, not throwing any strikes.
I have Hill decision as well, and I do not think this is going to be an exciting fight. I do think it's a gimme fight for Angela Hill. I think she has an okay fan base, and the UFC is trying to play on that a little bit. She just looked not great out there in her last fight, and I not only think it's a gimme fight for Angela Hill, I think it's a filler fight for the card. Her fighting 4 weeks later, that's just rushed. That makes me nervous as hell, especially when you're going against somebody from Jackson Wink who has monsters that they're going up against. So I have Angela Hill decision. I'm going to stay far, far away from this fight.
So you're telling me you don't want any piece of Angela Hill on DraftKings for 9,400?
Double hell no. Because I bet at most she gets like 62 points ever. That was like her most scoring match ever.
Average is 94. Oh. No, 49. Sorry, there's that dyslexia.
Like,
there's that dyslexia. If you didn't hear last show, 89, episode 189, not 98. Little dyslexic going up. They always said I was borderline artistic when I was growing up, just saying.
And we're 199. Is this 199?
This is 99, officially, because of life. So, we're getting there. So, Escobel's going to be 6,800. 199.
I know, I'm just kidding.
No, you got me.
Being number dyslexic.
Oh, I thought you were throwing the 2 back ones. I thought you were switching the 9 and the 9.
Is this 9/11?
Ooh.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. By that point, we'll be way doing this full time.
100%. 100%. Escobel, 6,800. Anything?
I don't see her getting finished. That if you felt like having a card where you filled it with a whole bunch of monsters, you could put her on there and she might get you the same amount of points as Angela Hill, minus the 20 of winning, whoever gets it. But I also think she could pull out an ugly little...
Dirty split.
Dirty split that she's so excited. Coaches, woo. Who knows? Who knows?
At 155 pounds, we have returning longtime veteran Jim Miller coming in with a humongous record of 29-13-0. The Lyme's disease war veteran has come out on top. He's definitely gotten his life straight after he was diagnosed and had a win beating Alex White via submission 7 months ago, but 4 months ago ended up losing to Charles Oliveira, rear naked choke submission. Jim Miller had a big time losing streak in there against some heavy duty competition, definitely much higher than the debuting Jason Gonzalez. Actually non-debuting Jason Gonzalez. Gonzalez debuted on the Contender Series. Then he actually had to fight Gregor Gillespie. Lost via triangle, but that's nothing to shake your head at. Gillespie is a beast in there, and it was actually a fairly competitive fight in there against Gillespie, and I think that in that fight, if you look back at it, Gonzalez actually looked better than a lot of people gave him credit for. The 11-4 fighter has a win over J.C. Cottrell in a submission darts choke in his debut. Not his debut. He fought on the Contender Series as well. He also did officially debut against Drew Dober, which he lost TKO, but that was a short notice fight. Gonzalez is a big 55er. If you look back at his Gillespie fight, I do think it was... Is that a 55 or 45? I think Gillespie's a
55.
Is it 55? Either way, Gonzalez, big guy in there. It definitely shows on him. Throws a good body kick. Serviceable wrestling. He likes to make his money on the ground, but against Jim Miller, unless you're a Charles Oliveira and above, like an X-level black belt, you're really not going to be threatening Jim Miller with too much. I think that this is a fight that Gonzalez has to keep standing, has to fight off that single leg, has to definitely get this going into the later rounds and to exploit a little bit of that age and just roughness we've seen of Jim Miller. I have seen him slow down as of late. I mean, he has obviously been fighting the much higher level competition, but it has caught up to him, where this 33-year-old just doesn't look as rough. He looks like he's maybe 7 years younger. It's only 2 or 3 years younger because he's 33, but fight-wise, he's definitely the much fresher man. And I think that I liked what I was seeing in Gonzalez's takedown defense. I think even in that loss against Gillespie, that really helps you raise your stock and understand where you need to go. You needed an underdog. You're going to get it early. I got Gonzalez decision I could even see a TKO round number 3. I just think Jim Miller is on his way down and out, and he's just cashing in on his almost 30 fights in the UFC. He's getting paid that top dollar just to show up. I love that I get a chance to watch Jim Miller fight in person, but give me the underdog, plus 130. Who do you have in this fight and why?
This is nerve-wracking. Like, I want to just pick the younger guy outright, but Gonzalez isn't that much younger. I did like his hands. I felt like Gregor Gillespie let him get through a bunch of times, and I watched Gregor get hit, which makes me wonder about his power. Jim Miller's a really dangerous guy. The guys he's losing to, I guess Trinaldo is,
That's beast. That's still, that's better than
and
Gonzalez.
they're making to decision. He got KO'd, nasty knee. That was a year ago.
Brutal.
I don't know. I think I have Jim Miller decision right now. I want to pick Gonzalez because I want to just be like, oh, knockout. But he's only 2 years younger.
Right. Totally.
I mean, it is the 2 years that matter. He's been in there against a guy I don't know, and then Gregor Gillespie, and he did have good hands against Gregor, but
Yep.
I'm going to pick Jim Miller right now. Jim Miller decision, and I don't feel good about it. I'm going to have to stay away from it because it gives me a feeling of wanting to go back and forth on it. So you have to make sure that you're following us everywhere to see where...
what after weigh-ins we see is going on here. This is going to be one of those for sure at
we
weigh-ins.
are in Florida for those of you who don't know, which is at below sea level. We are actually below
flatter than a pancake. Look that up. It is true. So
how could that be if we aren't on a flat earth?
LaTB conspiracy underway. We know you love them. So give me Gonzalez here at plus 130. Lesbo's coming in with Jim Miller at minus 160 favorite. Jim Miller on DraftKings is going to be 8,600. Gonzalez is going to be 7,600. I'm going to sprinkle Gonzalez out of the two on probably 30% of my cards. I'm going to limit myself to Jim Miller. I do think he can finish, though, because he does have that level of submission, and he has actually good shots in wrestling. So Jim Miller isn't one of these guys who jumps guard. Like, he has a way to get you to the ground, and that's by actually wrestling you. So.
I do like the size of
Gonzalez. He looked big.
He's enormous.
He's an enormous guy.
That alone could make me change.
Definitely. Gonzalez 6'2" against a 5'8". With a 3-inch reach advantage.
I might be more likely to put Gonzalez on one than Jim Miller anywhere, but maybe 1-1.
I could see that as well, but I am going to be sprinkling a little more, having the underdog there. Watching weigh-ins for everything when it's said and done. On to 155 pounds. We have Gilbert Burns coming in against Mike Davis. Mike Davis debuting in the UFC against a longtime veteran. 14-3. Burns has only really lost to Daniel Hooker as well. And Michel Perzeres, there was another loss earlier in his career, but he has some marquee wins over Dan Moret, also beating Jason Sago, and as of late, Aubin Mercier in a decision 4 months ago. Gilbert Burns getting back to what got him there, and that's using his jiu-jitsu and ground game. Serviceable striking, a little bit looping on his strikes, but he throws them with power, and he's actually finally started to get away from that in that Mercier fight. His gas tank actually showed up a lot better than it had before, and he's taking things serious at 32 years old. Burns is kind of, if there's a time for him to make a run, it's now. And debuting 7-1, Mike Davis did fight on the Contender Series. He ended up losing that fight via decision to Zatik Youssef, but now people are like, oh, well, Youssef should have finished him. Beast Boy Mike Davis does have a couple wins via strikes in there. He also has a submission, but the submission isn't going to really come through against Burns. Striking-wise, I liked what I saw from Davis. Has a little bit of power, slowed down a little bit, but I honestly say that he's going to be able to push Burns striking-wise, and on the ground, it's just clearly where Burns will be able to outstrike him. Now, the takedown defense is the iffy part here because Burns has okay entries on his takedowns, likes to go for a double leg. It's that his chain wrestling sometimes get him stuck in positions, and I don't know if Davis can exploit that or just be able to neutralize it, and then they go to the cage and kind of work from there. So I do think, though, that eventually the bright lights do start to wear, I'm going to be yelling in the crowd. You know, I'm going to be screaming. And the veteranship of Burns just going to take over as this fight goes on. I think he does eventually get him to the ground, weather those strikes, and submission round number 2 or 3. Right now I got round number 2. Could move that either way. I could even see a submission round number 1, but I do think that Burns should be the sided favorite for a reason. Give me him via submission. Who do you have and why?
I like that too. And Mike Davis is also moving up in weight to 10 pounds, which Burns is a big 155er, and he's a dominant 155er of late. He went out there and made Aubin Mercier look like a weak dude, and I don't feel like that of Aubin Mercier at all. Aubin Mercier is a crazy good grind. So the one thing I will also say is Aubin Mercier doesn't have to worry about striking power so much. But Daniel Hooker, he was on an upshoot, or did he just catch Burns and it shot him off on this idea of like, Daniel Hooker is a monster?
No, I think that Hooker legitimately, he did the right things there. He caught him, and Burns also gassed badly. But it's looked better since.
So do you think submission round 3 might be...
I think I could go submission round 1, 2, or 3. How you like that? How you like that for a breakdown?
I know, I almost want to just make it Burns' decision, because I don't know if I see him submitting him or if just being more of a DC, like get him down and hold him there. But he doesn't really ground and pound all that much either.
This is one of the cards that we have been watching come together, and it really came together in the last week or so. So this fight wasn't officially put on the books till about a week and a half ago. So these guys maybe had 2 to 3 weeks potentially notice.
Huh.
Does that help?
Well, I do like that for Gilbert Burns, because then he'll go right back to what he knows, and that's how I like when he fights the best. He looked good the last time out there. He beat a guy that I had high hopes for just cruising through for a little while, and Aubin Mercier. So Gilbert Burns decision, and I like the stick with what I know. Or you know what, Burns submission round 3. I'm gonna meet you halfway.
I got submission round number 2. Burns is gonna be 9,100 on DraftKings against underdog Mike Davis at 7,100. At 9-1, I am more than likely going to be putting Burns there instead of Angela Hill. Like, I actually feel okay with true. Burns there. For a finish, he'll probably be able to get a couple good little strikes in there. So I actually see myself getting probably like 50%, 60% exposure to Gilbert Burns out of those two fighters. Then we have, at 115 pounds, Carla Esparza coming in against debuting Virana Jabrina. Jabrina? I'm saying that wrong. The Kachakara.
Jandaraba. I don't know.
Caraka.
Jandaraba.
The Invicta former champion debuting in the UFC, being a perfect 14-0, getting a notable win over not UFC veteran Mizuki Inoue. Inoue is one of the few ladies I've heard of that should supposedly be in the UFC and still hasn't, because she's lost key fights to people like this with okay competition. She's fought all right women out of Brazil. Striking wise, for Kachakara, she has heavy punches. They're very looping. She throws a lot of weight into her punches and kicks. She kicks to the both sides of the body, but what I didn't like in a lot of her striking is that it was very rudimentary. Even at her last fights, it's 1 and 2 punch combinations and they're looping. She throws a lot of power behind them, and she relies on a lot of her strength to fight off weaker opponents' takedowns, or she does have technique at times, but there is a level of muscling where she's going to really see a difference here when these wrestlers she's been fighting are nowhere near the levels of a Carla Esparza. And I did see Kachikara fighting off the takedowns well, but I think that this is going to be a big step up. Good power in her punches, though. I just feel like her gas tank, she went 5 as of late. Her last fight, actually, 7 months ago. I think she's had 2 bouts at 5. I think the split decision was in there. So she does have serviceable gas tank, but the level of competition is just very weak. I did watch quite a few fights in there, and there's just very minimally. She's only fought 2 people that were even UFC level, and she did split decision. The submission bar It's not going to work on a Carla Esparza. We know what we're getting with Esparza, a wrestler who's actually gotten better at striking. Her hands do look better. She's not a knockout puncher, but she just looks way more comfortable in the pocket, throwing those ones and twos and using that to set up her outside pick, ankle picks, or knee picks. And actually what I saw that I liked from Virana really well was that she throws that, I'll say that stepping outside knee takedown. She throws that a lot and gets a lot of women to the ground. And when she's on top, she actually really does well with ground and pound. But again, against Esparza, that's not going to work. She's going to try that exact same takedown, and Esparza has a good enough base. She's going to reverse it. And all of a sudden, she's going to be on her back. And Esparza's going to be on top. Not going to be knocking her out, but definitely putting the pressure on. I got Esparza winning a one-sided 30-27 decision. Could even see a submission later on. But more than likely, it's going to go all three. Debuter is going to get a big learning lesson. Probably the O is going to go. Give me Esparza heavy. Well, slight favorite. I think it could be heavier. I don't see where, other than the power, Esparza loses this. Who do you have?
I agree. I have Esparza. I'm going to stick with what I know on this. Losing to Tatiana Suarez by the ground and pound. She waited an appropriate amount of time, the 7 months, but Tatiana's the future champion. We've been talking about it since the friggin' first time we saw her fight. I feel like we coined female Khabib before anybody else ever said that shit. Anyway, Claudia Gadelha, most people feel like she won that. Claudia got handed that decision, and most people think that Carla really won it. So, no offense to Verna, she's not going to come into the UFC and just walk around on our ex-champion Carla Esparza, one-sided, handed decision, maybe a submission or just another girl not realizing what UFC cardio is like. I know that 5 rounds, but 5 rounds with a grind, 5 rounds of that UFC life.
100%.
It's that Cookie Monster life, baby.
Exactly. At 8,200, the slight minus 130 favorites coming in over the debut are at 8,000 on DraftKings. I see myself actually putting Esparza in a lot of good spots for that price.
I like that too.
I think she can easily get... She averages 54 points, but I could see her scoring around the 60, 70 point mark with the takedowns.
54 because she's usually losing her fights of late.
Right.
I think she could actually average like the 70 mark. Yeah, I like it. I like that. I like that idea.
Definitely.
And I don't see her... the one thing though, you're saying this girl has a little bit of power. If she gets hit and I know if anyone gets hit, I hate these kind of sayings. But if she gets hit and doesn't like it, she just turtles up. She's
True.
like a real quitter.
But that's where I'm saying, I feel like she's gotten better of that as of late.
I agree with you.
Where she feels way more comfortable in the pocket.
I think Carla's a good safe bet on this.
That's what I'm saying. For 8-2, I see her, I'm going to have to back off some of mine just because she's not going to get that
100 that you need to get first place.
Exactly.
But you need to get first place.
She'll get the 70 points, 80 at tops. But fun fight for Carla Esparza, and that's rare. That's rare that I say that for Carla. You're welcome. At 265 pounds, we got the big boys coming in. My boyfriend, Andrei Arlovsky. It's been a long time since I stared at those nipples. Against Augusto Sakai. The young 27-year-old's coming in with a 12-1-1 record, winning his last 3 in a row, winning his Contender Series fight, and then beating Chase Sherman, TKO ground and pound 7 months ago. Not a lot of people have been able to get Chase Sherman out of there. So
Vittori, he's another guy that popped. Montano popped. Vittori
I've been saying
popped.
Vittori was going to pop for years. Just throwing that out there. That
he
was
too good looking.
Not surprised. Yeah. Again, look at that nipple game. Just look at it. Pay attention to the nips. It's also a telltale sign.
When they got nipple game, something's going on.
Something's going on.
TJ had them nips. He looked like he was pinching them nips.
100%. Ooh. But it is hormones. And for a fact, if a male has too much... males can't secrete hormone out of their nipples if they have excess. Bro science, you're welcome. So Andrei Arlovsky, 27
they
and
help
18.
their wives breastfeed. They let their kids suckle at their breasts.
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true.
I don't know. I never heard it. I was just making it up. Thought it would be funny.
Oh no, I've heard it.
So weird.
I thought a guy was able to do that because he thought of it long enough.
Am I not allowed to say that's weird anymore because everyone's like, "Come on, fair is square."
Teach their own. Whatever. They ain't heard me, so whatever. Andrei Arlovski is coming in off a 3-fight losing
Is that a
streak.
baby at your teat? No, it's a dragon.
No, it's a grown man with a beard who killed your husband, apparently. Why are we talking about big women? So, Andrei Arlovski could have been cast in the Game of Thrones, if you ask me. He could have easily been one of those monstrous men. I've taken a couple fun pictures with him, and I was barely
If I
chest
cast
level.
him, dog.
That's what I thought. 100%.
That's what I think too.
The Hound, right?
The Hound.
The Hound. Or his cousin,
Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dog the
Dog the Bounty Hunter. That's what I put him as. The Hound. Yeah,
the Hound's cousin, Dog, in Game of Thrones. Boom.
Yeah, that's what his name would be. Dog Arlovski.
Dog has had his nose broke one too many times.
Oh my gosh, and he's the pit bull?
100%. I thought that's what you knew.
No.
I thought you knew.
He would just be the pit bull. That would just be his name in Game of Thrones. And he would be hanging out.
It'd be the cousin of still the Hound. Which would be so great.
And he's like, I'm here. Because the White Walkers.
And his helmet would have a pristine straight nose. And when he lifted his visor, it'd be like, where you'd look and be like, ah, shit.
No, I think even better, his helmet has a crooked as fuck nose.
Oh, which I would be dope too. That would be dope.
Okay.
So, Andrei Arlovski on for 3-fight losing streak. Last losing to Walt Harris in a split decision. Prior to that, losing to Shamil Akhderahibov in a decision. And then to Tai Tuivasa in a decision. Andrei Arlovski, Jackson Wink disciples, been there for a long, long time. Bounced around. The 6'3", 40-year-old has got a right hand that he's built a career off of. Head movement has gotten slightly better. His game plan has finally started to evolve not around his chin and more around his actual boxing and wrestling and sambo. So this is a really interesting fight for Andrei Arlovski because he's a jack of all trades, master of none, but has power like all these guys do. Sakai, though, is just one of these guys who, at 12-1, has fought middling competition. It wasn't Gokhan Saki. He lost.
Czech Congo.
Czech Congo lost a split decision, beat Marcos Jr., and then beat Chase Sherman TKO, where, again, a lot of people haven't been able to do that to Chase Sherman, so that's got to say something. But on the ground, I've seen Arlovski wrestle in person. This guy is a sambo master. I don't think Sakai's going to be able to get to those positions. No, not too many people have really been able to out-wrestle or even get Arlovski down to the ground. So this usually turns into a striking mount. And Sakai has good hands at 27 years old. He's definitely coming along, and it's going to be by far his toughest matchup. But it is a winnable fight for Sakai. I'm mixed here. I feel like my heart's telling me I want to go with Andrei Arlovski because I've trained with him and I did a couple of his seminars. Great guy. Miss Brutus. He was the best dog ever. R.I.P. A lot of pet deaths on my Twitterverse. Everywhere.
What the hell?
All over my Twitterverse.
Pet death conspiracy. I know you guys don't want to hear it.
Truth. But it's the truth. MMA pets are getting knocked down.
Is it... What is it?
Is it winning too fat of free bets?
Is it no one wants to be an underdog anymore? No one wants to be an underdog anymore.
Oh, so Andrei Arlovski, I got to switch that Walt Harris loss. I can't get behind it. Give me Sakai decision. I'm going to probably stay away from this one. This has kind of a dirty split just because Andrei's in it. So I got Sakai decision. I don't want a part of this one. Maybe Sakai.
I might put Sakai in some places. I actually, stay with what I know. But Andrei Arlovski, dude, he's 40 years old in a heavyweight division. I know everyone says the power's the last thing that goes, but at 40, it's time, dude. Hang up the gloves. Some of the guys that are walking through, I really like Tai Tuivasa, but I can't get my gauge on him because he's beating guys like Andrei Arlovski. Exactly. And then Abdurrahimov, everyone's like, oh, he's one to watch now. Is he? Right. Is he? And then after the Walt Harris thing, that is better to me than who I was thinking of. Who just lost to Walt Harris?
Andrei Arlovski?
No, didn't he fight who's that big guy that fights with Daniel Cormier?
Justin Willis.
I thought it was Willis.
No,
he
that was Blades.
Willis?
No.
I cannot go with Andrei Arlovski. That's what I really thought. But Walt Harris isn't as bad. 3 months ago, I just think that Sakai is enormous in this division. I think he's going to knock out Andrei Arlovsky. It might take him a little while, but he's just a far bigger guy. This is weird for me. I could have both guys on one because this one, it could be over in the first minute and a half or so boring by the end.
100%. As you're saying, go with what we know. We do know Andrei Arlovsky, and we know he can let us down. And that's kind of what the no that I got to go with. If there's a finish, more than likely, I got to say it's going to be Sakai. Just because Andrei is, again, chin isn't, it's held up better than ever.
Albini,
exactly.
Stefan Struve. Those are two guys that I don't even know if they're UFC caliber.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. 8,400 for the slight favorite in Sakai against 7,800 on DraftKings for Arlovsky. I'm going to probably put Sakai on a couple as well. 30% for me. Andrei Arlovsky, like probably 0 for Andrei.
I don't see him on any either. I just don't see a finish for him here. And when you're with the heavyweights, I think a good rule of thumb, if they're a heavyweight 100% of the time, you have to have the finish because they don't throw out enough significant strikes to get you any points.
No, I like what you're seeing there. It's definitely one that there's a couple of fights on here where it's fun, it's juicy, but is it worth the squeeze anymore? And for Andrei Arlovsky, it might be time to get out of here, my friend. Hopefully I don't have to see them pull you out on a stretcher over the weekend. Hopefully you can make it out on your own 2 feet. And the same could be said at 170 pounds.
For us outside.
100%. Love you, Andrei. So, on to the 170 pounds. A lot of the same could be said for the next fighter in Ben Saunders. I don't want to see Ben Saunders walk out of here on a stretcher because last time we saw him in Orlando, I could hear those elbows bumping off of that noggin at such a sickening sound. It doesn't translate onto TV. It hollows out in that room, and Ben Saunders was out cold. We haven't seen him since, is it that Joe Ban loss? Over a year? No, he's got quite a few losses in there. He beat Jake Ellenberger, but that was a weird one. Lost to Mariah submission, then as of late 5 months ago, lost TKO punches to Lyman Good. A lot of people saw that come in, and it's just the chin of Saunders. Can't make it there. Against, though, a debut in Takashi Sato. Sato is a Japanese prospect, 28-year-old, having a little bit of a padded record at 14-2. He has fought at Pancrase, some middling competition in Glencoe Franca, and actually lost via submission. So when he got to the test, he ended up falling through. He did last beat Matt Vallely via TKO. I don't know if Matt ever had UFC experience. He might have had a 2-0 and then got out of there, but that name does sound familiar. Mid-2000s type of a name. But he was fighting other Japanese regional guys out of Pancrase, which does have a legitimate scene out of Pancrase. There's at-level guys. They do have international competition. And Sato is serviceable everywhere. Good amount of power. Okay gas tank. At 170 pounds, being 5'11", he looks like he could condition a little bit better. But that's the Japanese guys. They're one of these guys that fall in between. They're not necessarily the shreddest all the time. But Sato's gone the distance multiple times. Got good ground and pound from the top. Okay takedowns. The level of competition isn't quite there on the ground. He can be submitted, and that's one thing you got to worry about, Ben Saunders. But striking-wise, Sato has good Muay Thai, good elbows, and isn't scared to bang. He comes in hard with a jab and follows it up with a good straight right. Ben Saunders just can't take those punches on the ground. He always has a shot because those triangles come out of nowhere. Killer B
super flexible
is awesome with all that 10th planet jiu-jitsu. You know he's throwing up all of that mission control stuff. And it's someone you always got to worry about and be dangerous or just be in a hyper state. And we haven't seen, or we've seen that Sato against these high-level ground games has faltered. And he has that in Ben Saunders. The thing is that Ben Saunders doesn't have a good takedown. Ben Saunders will pull guard or have to get knocked down in order to be on the ground. So when he's on the ground, he's usually on bottom throwing triangles up. And I think against a guy with solid ground and pound in Sato, I think that Sato's going to just throw a couple punches from straight over the top, and Ben Saunders has to eat one, and he's limp on the ground. So that's what I see happening, unfortunately. I got Sato TKO round number 1 or 2, more than likely 1. I got the debuter, and it's more of a fade on Saunders than anything. It's just I don't like what I see in that chin, but there is an avenue for Saunders here, and it is on the ground. So
I feel like both guys has the same shot at either flash submission or flash knockout.
Oh, 100%.
One or the other.
100%.
And I'm going to go with Saunders flash submission. I'm going to stick with what I know here, which I know it's crazy, but it's just far better competition that he's gone up against. The Jake Ellenberger win doesn't quite say anything. Losing to Lyman Good. Lyman Good is literally Wolverine. He literally should play Wolverine next. He should be the guy that walks in under Hugh Jackman to play. I'm throwing him out there for Wolverine. So the Killer Bee can't do too much against that. He does get knocked out a little more frequently than I'd like, and that could be due to a weak takedown that everyone sees it coming after a certain point. Does Sato have a weak enough game to fall for that? I don't know. I don't know at all. This is so sketchy, but...
Ben Saunders, Orlando native, he does train at Top Team.
No, I thought he was at Black Zillion. Oh, you think he's down there or at Orlando Top Team or something?
No, American Top Team. He does go to 10th Planet as well, but he also trains at Top Team as well. He's not... Yeah.
I'm going to put Saunders submission round number 2, and I am so nervous about this, and I might change this too. Anything could still happen, you guys. So make sure that you're tuning in to us at Zoltanite, Weak Neck Baby, Lesbo and the Bean, and LaTB_MMA on Instagram. And have we decided, is it LaTB MMA?
I don't know if I thought we said it was going to be the 200th show we would officially have it. So this is 199.
I know.
It's so stressed. There's been so many pet
It'll almost be like an inside joke if we ended up going with LaTB. Then all the people that are with us up to this point would always secretly know, no matter what we called it every episode, the people before here would always know. It was like our dirty little secret that it was Lesbo and the Bean, and that we allowed you to get really sexist and racist in the last bastion of America.
But when people eventually ask us, well, what does LaTB stand for?
We'll have 1,000 different answers.
Oh, okay.
Like 1,000 different answers. There'll be so many different things, like lines and top bets.
I like it.
Look, boom.
Boom. There it is. There it is.
It could be like lynching and...
Jesus.
Yeah, like, who knows? Who knows? It could be anything. It depends on the day. We might name it after people's nicknames. It might be Lyman Good and the Bullet. But
I like it.
We can't call each other Lesbo and the Bean.
That's exactly it. Dun, dun, dun. I feel like Rey Mysterio taking his mask off.
That's very Mexican of you.
So, on DraftKings, Sato, his debut is going to be 9,000. Saunders is going to end up being 7,200. Are you going to end up betting Saunders on your DraftKings cards? Because I don't think, I have a finish. I think I'm going to go 20% on either guy. Because I agree. I totally agree that Saunders can finish here.
You're going to need one of these guys on your card to be, if you're
number
a winner.
one. If you're trying to get that number 1 spot. Yeah. Not top 10, number 1.
This is what you can definitely bet, though. This fight doesn't go the distance.
I love that bet. That's actually the best prop bet you're going to have on that line. And remember, when you're liking and subscribing, to get that 15% off all LaTB products, which is officially coming to you from Lather & Company. Remember to use the code
LaTB15. LaTB15, latherancompany.com, and you can get bath bombs, you can get aluminum and metal-free deodorants. Everything's organic. The soap's good, smells good, tastes good.
It's edible. It's edible. If you want a fun little watch, end up following Lather & Co. on Instagram.
It's Lather & Company.
Lather & Company on Instagram, and you're going to watch.
You can go to us, and you'll find it.
Yes, they're definitely linked up with us. Either way, they have one of those fast tracks where they show you making their products. I love watching those type of things where you can watch like a day's worth of work in 45 seconds. So I sit there and watch.
I'm exhausted. I need a nap.
Woo! That was good soap.
Yeah, so you got to go to latherancompany.com. Make sure you smell good. Get something for your mama. Get something for your lady. Get something for your man. Get something for whoever you want to get it for. LatheranCompany.com, LAPB15. Get that 15% off. And, oh yeah, free shipping inside the continental United States for orders of $25 or more. And that's all we have to say about that.
100%.
Boom, boom, boom.
The main card we
were
go
so
to.
responsible that time. We remembered everything.
Making it, trying to be professional about it. The main card opens up, though, out of the BB&T Center in Fort Lauderdale with Roosevelt Roberts coming in against a debut fighter. Interesting how they have this profiled. And by the way, this is actually going to be on ESPN Plus, the whole card. It was switched from ESPN 2 to ESPN Plus, then to 1, and now back to Plus. I might be making that up, but I know officially it's Plus now.
I haven't even looked it up once because I'm going to be sitting there.
True.
And we got good seats this time.
You're going to see somebody on camera. You're going to see somebody.
And you'll know I got camouflage pants on. If you're there, then you could yell, "Let's move the bean!" And we will make sure our bodyguard does not beat you up.
100%. We roll deep. Just saying. We rolling deep. Gotta get what you pay for. You need protection out there.
Yeah.
When you're gonna have all these fun fans. So with this debut fight for Thomas Gifford, he is 17-7. Last coming off of a split decision win over Chris Brown, who is a 2-0 fighter. This is a Arkansas short notice fight that was put on about 2 to 3 weeks ago. It really shows that they want Roosevelt Roberts to kind of get a win in here. I mean, we've been seeing set-up fights as of late, especially coming out of Russia, but this is a 100% set-up fight. I mean, what I saw in this fighter was the white Roberts, and by that I mean they're both 6'1". They both are so incredibly tall for 155 pounds. They both have, I wouldn't say the same striking, but they look a lot alike because they're so long. So their punches have to travel a certain way. But by far, Roberts is the better striker. He just has better angles where he cuts in, where Gifford will throw really interesting kicks that aren't really set up. He gets wobbly in a lot of fights, and level of competition just really hasn't been high at all. Again, I just see the UFC being like, you want to be in the UFC? Come in here, get a loss, and we'll give you another fight that's probably more at your level. They've been hyping up Roosevelt Roberts because he did come off of the Contender Series fight, got a gnarly guillotine off of a few competitors. That's what he's known for. And the interesting thing in Gifford is he's got a few guillotines. One of his marquee wins is against the same guy twice, and they're both by guillotine. And it's because Gifford and both Roberts do this exact same thing. If they end up on bottom, which Gifford ends up on more because he has actually pretty trash takedown defense, but Roberts doesn't throw good takedowns, so it's a really weird matchup. But Gifford, once he gets on top, he's so long that he just reaches over the top of you and sits into the guillotine. And I've seen Roberts do the exact same thing. So they're kind of mirrors of each other. But Roberts has just had a little bit higher competition, less competition, because again, the 17-7, he's just seen more of it. So I got Roberts here, but I don't think you can go super, super heavy on it. I'm going to go submission round number 2. Gifford's pretty low-level competition. There was, as soon as you go deeper into his lexicon of fights, you're like, oh, wow, he grew a lot in that fight. But even that growth is still very low compared to UFC caliber. Who do you have in this fight and why?
I also have Roosevelt Roberts, but only because he has fought in the UFC. It's really just pressure of lights here. I don't have too much to add about Thomas Gifford. I don't know a ton about him. I just know the guy that I've seen before. It's not like it's great. I don't like how long the other guy is. One of the guys has been using that as his crutch in a way for up till this point. So usually when they go against another person who is a mirror image, like you're saying, it stunts something and it looks weird. So I'm hoping Roberts gets it together and figures it out. Submission, I have round 2. Yeah, I'm going to stay with round 2.
I actually have Roberts submission round 2 as well.
Oh, I think it's a setup. I think he sets up the submission by the other guy kind of quitting. Like, whoa, it's a lot in there. Yeah. And I just think this is a short fight. It's thrown together quick. And Thomas Gifford, we might see him. He might be a sneaky underdog bet later on. It's nothing against him. And if he wins right now, I will not be surprised. I'm not going to go heavy on this either.
I agree. I'm not going to go heavy on this.
This
huge
is a weird
favorite.
fight night. I almost feel like part of it is like we're going to like some underground fights. Like,
Who
are these guys?
We could easily have seen R.I.P. Kimbo Slice in the corner bodyguarding for one of these guys.
Well, we
in
know
Florida.
we're probably going to see Amanda Nunes and her
100%.
lovely other, maybe soon to be going up at least for champion, Nina Astor.
Mikey Brown. All of AT&T. Colby Covington said he was going to potentially show up.
Who do you think is going to be ringside? Do you think it'll be Felder DC, Dom DC? What are we going to get?
All I know is that Anik is not.
No,
He posted and said he wasn't.
Huh.
He thinks it's DC and either Felder or Cruz. But
or all three. That'd be weird. They usually need a guy that reads the commercials.
I could be wrong, but I saw on Monday that somebody asked Anik, and he specifically was like, oh, I haven't been called out. Oh, they do a great job. He was a pro about it, but I know that he lives like down the street from here. Legitimately. He lives in Fort Lauderdale, so it'd be interesting. He could be...
Maybe he wants to go. Maybe he wants to bring
And
friends and be a big dog, you know?
That'd be
he's
dope.
That'd be cool. I just think a lot of people are going to be there. I just think we're going to have...
I agree, there's going to be a
lucky.
lot. But we thought that last time in Orlando, and who do we see? Felony? Ponzinibbio,
Amanda
Mikey
Nunes,
Brown,
we saw
Usman.
Yoel Romero,
Yeah,
we saw
that's true.
DC.
Oh, that's right.
There was tons of people. Michael Bisping.
That's true.
There was tons of
Cruz,
that weren't
but not
even
really,
fighting. Yeah, there was tons of people that we saw. Yeah, you said Usman.
Yep. Ponzi.
Yeah,
Little
I think
photos.
there was a lot.
And even now we know even more, and there's just tons and tons of good fans to be out there. Remember to stick around. We'll throw up some photos if we end up getting some hot picks. We end up getting some inside scoops. So
I have camouflage pants on. Do you have any idea what you're going to be wearing?
no idea yet. No idea. It's been a busy week for me.
I know.
So woo.
I just was trying to wear something weird, so if I'm sitting... Our seats are good enough that I think we could run to the rail.
Ooh.
And
Would it be corny if I wore camouflage shorts?
No. We could tell
Our bodyguard to wear something else camo?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Camo plants, that'd be photo. That'd be like... Exactly. Woo! That's going to be a fun one. But another fun one we have, this is probably the fight of the night. This is the people's main event. I have been so
You've been
freaking
so
hyped for
excited
this.
about this.
This is just, matchmaking at its best. At bantamweight, we have a 135-pound bout. Did I even talk about the DraftKings for Gifford real quick? Sorry, I know I jumped the gun because I started to look at it.
No.
DraftKings, 9,500 for the huge favorite Roberts. Gifford,
Well, you got to
6,
stay
7.
away from Roberts. He's too new for that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Maybe on
as well.
one. Maybe one on both.
Maybe one. Not even on both. Maybe one on Roberts, and that's it. Nothing on Gifford. But the profile fight, the one we're all here for, well, the one that is just going to have me salivating in the back corner is John Lineker versus Corey Sandhagen. Sandhagen at 35 has been a prospect who has shown amazing talent and amazing skill. At 10-1, he's coming off of a long winning streak. He's come in the UFC and gotten marquee wins over Austin Arnett, then beating, as of late, it was
Alcantara.
And
then he beat Mario
Bautista via submission, who was a 6-0 fighter. But Sandhagen, what he's getting people excited about, he did train with the EPO head himself.
I was just about to
100%. Does it taint Corey here? Are people thinking, hey, what's going on? He hasn't popped, but...
Not yet. How long does it take for the testing to come back? Will it happen afterward?
I was about to say the same thing, and what really matters, will my bets cash first? They will?
And here's the other thing I have to say, too.
I'm okay with it.
He is at Elevation Fight Team, whereas we all know now that TJ has been training at a training lab out in California. So, hey.
But even back in the day, and even if TJ was showing alpha male to do steroids, you don't think he showed Elevation? And then everyone else?
He's just showing
everyone. He's just like, hey guys, come here. right in the butt cheek, and they're like, "What are you doing? I'm not ready."
They're like, "Oh my God, I can breathe so good for so long."
Oh, it's the work I put in. It's the work. It's not anything else. I'm not doing anything else.
I thought EPO. I didn't even know what it did. I just thought it somehow made Cody have a weak chin. Oh!
Oi! Oi! So Sandhagen, people are calling this neon footwork. It's not. It's just more of a. It's footwork. It's
you can send your emails and hate mail to lesboandthebean.com at gmail. No, I'm just kidding. Lesboandthebean at gmail.com.
So, Corey comes in with great footwork. A lot of that Willie Pep, Dominic Cruz, TJ Dillashaw style, where he's on the outside, throws in a good jab, throws up a bunch of kicks, brawls a bit in there, has a good body attack, and on the ground, likes to scrap and scramble. I mean, serviceable everywhere, has power, and a good fight IQ. And there's a lot of reasons why people like Corey Sandhagen and Sandhagen. The reason that
sand, like beach sand.
Sandhagen, the reason you can't fully back him is because he just hasn't fought at level competition, and this is finally it. John Lineker is top 3. I mean, what's he officially ranked in the division? Number 6. I would have said higher than that. Easy. But John Lineker, hands of stone himself. I mean, we're blessed that we get to see hands of stone fight in real life. This guy comes at you, hands down, charging forward, attacking the body equally as much as the head, and that's what he beats you up from the legs all the way to the tip top of your head and doesn't slow down in there at all. Gets in some of the best fights of the year, and this fight just stylistically has everything we want. We have 2 good gas tanks. We have 2 guys that move great on the outside. Good chins. The better chin you got to give to Lineker. The power you got to give to Lineker. And overall, he just has done more damage against higher level competition. But this is where Corey can make his breakout performance. And it is lined up for him. I mean, if he beats a level of Lineker, immediately in the top 5, top 6 type of fighters. And it's a hard uphill battle, but it is doable. He's just, the way he's going to have to do it is with precision and fight IQ, and he can do it. So that's where watching this is going to be watching somebody decipher a high-level puzzle in Lineker, and a very violent puzzle that is going to make you, regardless, hurt the very next day. I got Lineker overall winning this, just accumulation of punches and being able to wear it a bit more. I have decision, but I'm not taking that lightly. I feel like this is legitimately a coin flip, and I've been on Sandhagen for a lot of the time earlier in the week. This is going to go to weigh-ins because Lineker is one of these guys who still has trouble making weight because he moved up in weight and all he did was put muscle on. So it's still hard for him to get there. Got to watch weigh-ins for this one.
I'm going to say something
It's a
crazy.
coin flip. I think it's a coin flip still. I got decision Lineker. You must watch television. You have to tell your friends. Everybody has got to watch this fight.
I love John Lineker in this fight, but I also love Corey Sandhagen. Dare I say, I think you put them both on a card.
Oh, a 3-rounder?
I think there's going to be so many punches thrown in this fight.
I don't think you're wrong.
I don't think it's going to be takedowns. I think it's going to be punches. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think it's going to go down to decision. I, too, have Lineker to decision, but I think Corey Sandhagen could play it out. What, you can't watch that TJ Dillashaw fight back and figure out where you can make it better as a little bit younger guy, a little bit longer younger guy, a little bit bigger for the division, and, you know, Lineker's coming up, so he's a little smaller for the division, but the sneaky thing about Lineker is that reach per size. He's like that little angry man. I think he's from Armenia or something. He's always punching people. Do you know what I'm talking about? That little short dude. That's what John Lineker reminds me of, and he's pissed and he's mad, and he too. No, I'm not even gonna make that joke. I'm gonna scratch that joke. I'm not even gonna tell you guys what it's gonna be. But anyways, John Lineker, I have decision right now, and I don't want to say sticking with what I know, because I think Corey Sandhagen, if he makes a breakout here and proves me wrong and wins, I think it will only be by decision. But I also think it'll just be the beginning of like, here comes one. Here comes one. Like, we might actually have a contender. So, Lineker decision right now, but I think there's points, ding, 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 ding. It's going to be a ping pong match.
100%. 8,500 for the slight
Lineker
minus
will just bang his own face
Yep.
and be like, keep punching me, bitch. Let's go.
100%. 8,500 on DraftKings against Sandhagen's 7,700. As you're saying,
Sandhagen.
big points. I actually on DraftKings like Sandhagen a little bit more here.
I agree.
At 7-7, I think you could put him here, even in a loss. He's the type of guy who'll put up decision type fighters wins, even in a decision loss here. So I think he's going to be that value play on DraftKings specifically, even though I do see the loss coming his way. It is just so much fun. Cannot wait for that one. I'm going to need a... Do they got showers in these arenas? Because I'm going to need one after that. I'm going to need one. I'm just saying. At 100.
Maybe if you're nice enough to one of the fighters.
Hey, yo.
Like, hey, Carla.
She wouldn't like me. I don't think she... Oh, maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe I'm wrong. She has a brown boyfriend. Oh, she got a man.
What's a man got to do with me?
At 205 pounds, we have Glover Teixeira coming in against Ian Hawk Cutelaba. Cutelaba coming in as a favorite with coming off a 2-fight winning streak. The 14-3 fighter last beat Luis Henrique da Silva. Take that for what it's worth. Frankenface himself. Last beating Antigulov. TKO punches. Did Antigulov win this last weekend? Did he win via TKO? I think he did.
Yes, he did.
But against Cutelaba,
Dagestani fighter, is he?
I don't specifically remember that, but the Moldovan fighter, Cutelaba, is really a front runner. I mean, he came in with a ton of hype. Ask Jared Cannonier if he cared a little bit about that hype. Remember how that fight finished? With Cutelaba and Cannonier? Cannonier just grabbing Cutelaba like a kid on the playground and knocking him out in a submission because Cutelaba was just
so tired.
Spent! 100% spent. And that's one of those things that Cutelaba throws incredibly hard punches, good uppercuts, looping punches, actually has a good setup hook into a straight right. When his takedowns don't work, when he starts getting these takedowns stuffed, he really starts to wither and shrivel. His game plan starts to go out the window, and he leans more into his punches, but all it does is throw him off balance more and allow him to get more countered than he usually gets. He's one of these guys that's got to get you out in that first round. So as far as DraftKings, he's a guy who's always looking for that first round finish. But it's a make it or break it. If he goes past that, I want to say 4-minute mark, he's huffing and puffing hard. Second round, I mean, he's holding on. Third round, he's a shell of himself. I'm surprised Cutelaba hasn't popped in there. The 25-year-old, I'm actually surprised he's coming in as the favorite at -170 because Glover Teixeira coming in with a 28-7 record has fought nothing but top-level contenders since he's come in and done incredibly well against them. Last beating Carl Robertson 3 months ago. Prior to that, losing to Corey Anderson, who's a sneaky dark horse. But he beat contenders like Shurkanov, only losing to Gustafsson, beating Cannonier, who officially did beat Cutelaba as well in there. So Teixeira is got great boxing, great wrestling. On the ground is an X-level black belt. You're not going to be able to submit him or get on top and throw that ground and pound that most people try, where Cutelaba likes to shine the most, is getting people to the ground. So I think it's a matter of time. I feel like Cutelaba throws everything into that first round, and when Glover Teixeira is still standing there and he might be cut, Teixeira might even be knocked down in that first round, but Glover Teixeira can get his wits back to him and put a game plan together and grind out a fight. And I think that in round number 2, I got a submission. Round number 2 for Glover Teixeira. Give me another underdog. You trying to make money, you following LaTB. Who do you have and why?
Glover Teixeira, round number 2.
Woo!
Same thing. I can't believe he's the underdog here.
Right? It's unbelievable to me.
Cutelaba has just not showed out. He came in kind of like a hot steam, and everyone liked that he painted himself a green, but then he just hasn't been UFC caliber. A thing I'd like to see. I want my boy Glover to win, and I want him to lay down those gloves.
That would be amazing.
I think that we should see it. I think it's time. I think it would be a cool knockout. I think it would be on a main card in a cool place. Why not? Fly in his whole family, UFC. Take advantage of it. Make it good. It's knocking out a guy that everyone's super scared of, and going out as an underdog seems that much cooler. So, Teixeira, that was one of the first times it took me this long to get his name right. That's how I know he's going to retire. Teixeira, knockout round 2. You know what? I'm going to go with round 3 because I think it's going to be a give-up knockout. But Teixeira also has good enough ring IQ that if he sees that, I'm not going to knock this guy out, I'll just submit him. So
that's what I
think
got.
It's a finish either way. I think, I like submission round 2.
Yep.
Teixeira.
I could even see that submission round 3, as you're saying, though, just because it's Cutelaba just being like, I can't breathe.
Up.
Yep, like, I can't breathe. I give up. 100%. So
going round 3. Teixeira's going to... Every minute that passes in the fight, Teixeira...
the more my pocket gets full of money. 100%. 100%. Glover Teixeira being the underdog at plus 135, 7,900 on DraftKings against Cutelaba's 8,300. I mean, I'm going to have to back off of Teixeira because I'm going to probably be putting on like 70-80% of my cards. I might have to try to just back off a little bit, but I'm
astounded. I feel like that could be the Bandits bonus.
I mean, right now...
I don't want to say it too early.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's sticking out right now, but I feel pretty comfortable with that one. That isn't going to be
especially if it's all the LaTB rules. Stick with what you know. If it's that, I don't know.
If it's that one.
If it's that
one.
If
it's that one, well. So, at 170 pounds,
he's not yet 40.
I think he is.
6 months away.
6 months. Oh,
we got 6 months of gold.
So, the next one is another profile fight at 170 pounds where we have another fight you gotta tune into. This is gonna be nothing but fireworks. We have 2 of our favorite fighters here with Platinum Mike Perry coming in against Alex Oliveira. Oliveira being 20-6. Coming off of a loss to Gunny Nelson 4 months ago. Those stitches should have healed by now. But that was a really interesting finish in the fact that Oliveira afterwards has come out and said, I got submitted, but it wasn't because I didn't know how to defend. It was because I was bleeding more than I've ever bled. And I freaked out.
He never saw blood like that. They would have called it anyway. I never seen so much blood.
Yeah, I agree. They would have called that because it was too split. They would have been like, dude, we can see your brains. Like, we can see you thinking right now. So it was absolutely brutal.
Inside there. When it split open, what did we see?
He was thinking of the last bull he rode in Brazil.
I was picturing a lady.
One of his wives? Or one of his baby mamas?
Maybe both in the same. Somehow.
I think he's got like 4 or 6 baby mamas. No joke.
He seems like it. He seems like a charming mofo.
He got that BDE.
I'm going to come back from Miami with a cowboy baby.
Let's don't even roll like that. But apparently...
Cowboy Oliveira is charming as hell.
Cowboy Oliveira is all it takes, apparently. So, Cowboy coming in with one of the funnest...
Mike Perry got married. We already said that. We've talked about it.
We have talked about that, too.
He is the best coach in the game. Platinum Princess. What's Platinum Princess?
Have you seen her training? Well, she's the queen now, because she got a ring on it, right?
True. Platinum Queen.
She
should change that name. Platinum Queen.
True. So, we've also
I saw her on the beach training with her booty out. Every
time
he punched at her.
That was the best part of the training.
And he said she's one of a kind. And I'm like, yeah, holding pads with her little G-string on.
It was definitely getting in some of that beach weather. The local Floridian, 12-4, Orlando's own Platinum Mike Perry's actually come back home to train with Jacare Souza at that gym. So Jacare moved into Orlando and they've all been training together. So Perry says he's been working on his ground game because obviously that's been the biggest flaw we've seen, losing his last win via submission armbar 5 months ago to Donald Cerrone. Prior to that, losing a split decision to Felder with a broken arm, or winning split decision to Felder, but losing to Max Griffin in Orlando and Ponzinibbio decision. Perry likes to box in there. Okay, take down the fence. But really, as a striker, brawler, his cutting of the cage has actually gotten a lot better. Mike Perry has evolved and grown with the game. He is not the same guy he was back in the day. He's jumped around camps. He went to Jackson's. He came back. He's just starting to find his own. And I think that being in Orlando doing his own thing is good for him. He tried the mega camp and it didn't really work for him. So he's kind of honing in his own. He's got his queen on the corner.
It's not his fault. It's because he got involved in all the drama
100%.
between Donald Cerrone and Jackson.
And all their steroid talk. All that? The high school wrestling coach who was selling all them steroids? Yeah. So Perry is on his last fight, he ended up going for the takedown against Donald Cerrone, but we haven't seen him since this comeback. He says striking-wise, if it's a brawl, Oliveira is going to oblige. He's a Muay Thai striker at heart. On the ground, he's got crafty submissions, but can be out-positioned on top. But Mike Perry's not the type of guy to do that. Mike Perry's the type of guy to be like, I don't want to go to the ground, man. Let's stand back up. And Oliveira has good triangles and good arm bars off of his back as well. Actually, a sneaky ground game. He's really strong on the ground. And look at some of the submissions Oliveira's had. People are like, I've never been held. And it's because he's ridden bulls. Legitimately. That's
True.
not a joke. His core strength is that wrestling core strength. You're holding on to a 1,500-pound animal by your legs. He can ride a bull. And Mike Perry on the ground, that's the way to beat him. A lot of people have Oliveira eventually getting this to the ground, even though we don't see the best takedowns out of him. He has thrown him in there. And striking-wise, this is pretty close, but I would even say the slight more power goes to Oliveira. He just throws elbows or knees that just have, or kicks that even have a bit more wear. To me, Mike Perry's just almost a boxer with minimal kicks to the legs, where Oliveira will throw that oblique kick into a body kick, into a head kick, and his teeps as well. Just love some Oliveira teeps. He's also one of these guys we constantly say, he's going to kick you in the dick, he's going to grab the fence, he's going to poke you in the eye, and that just puts more money in my pocket. Give me Charles Oliveira via submission, round number 3. I could move that to decision, but I got Oliveira in this one. Must-watch TV, win or lose, you're going to get your money's worth.
I agree. I could see myself putting both guys on either card, but I really just like the competition that Mike Perry's gone against a little better. He's a guy with a really big mouth, and we saw him almost like a Kevin Lee. He talked himself into a spot that he wasn't quite ready for yet, and it probably would have been better off for his win-loss record if he would have crawled up the ladder appropriately. But his big mouth and his flashy personality, his look, his talk, his saying the N-word, and everyone's uncomfortable, yet he says it in front of Tyron Woodley, and he doesn't even shut him up. I'm like, what is happening? That talked him into fights he wasn't ready for. Alex Oliveira is a natural 155er that kind of had problems making weight after he started to get older, and now he's at, in the 170. Even though Mike Perry did lose to Cowboy at 170, I do think that Alex Oliveira can exploit his game, and I don't like that I see Mike Perry train on the beach with his girlfriend. I'm glad he's doing it all the time, but I really wish he got himself a real coach. Like, there's something about that I don't get. I had Oliveira all week. I'm switching it to Mike Perry because something about Alex Oliveira, he's also one of those guys that like the guy with the same last name. Who's the other Oliveira?
Charles. They
both have weak-ass bodies. They get touched, they curl up, and they're done.
Quit.
Mike Perry goes to decision. My favorite thing that I love about him, like the guys, Santiago Ponzinibbio, you're not going to see anyone else go to decision with Santiago Ponzinibbio. That is insane to me that he made it the distance with that murderer. Max Griffin, going to decision, and Max really tore him apart everywhere. We watched that fight, right?
Live, that one was live.
And
it was a wrestling that did it. It was a wrestling.
And he looked awful everywhere. Paul Felder, that split decision, but that was a short
broken arm
fight.
Round 2.
And Paul Felder was coming up from 155 on his natural weight class on our super short notice. It was like a week notice fight. And then the loss to Donald Cerrone at 155. I'm switching over right now. Alex Oliveira. I just think he is a little better everywhere. He isn't a quick guy. He is one of my favorites. He's easily my top 10 favorite fighters. I don't know why I was ever doubting him.
That Platinum Queen, you saw that G-string shot, and you're like,
and I'm just like, the Carlos Condit win is not...
Agreed, it's not that good.
And the Yancy Medeiros getting knocked out, I'm like, whoa, Mike Perry has far more power than Yancy.
Truth.
And then the Gunnar Nelson submission, I'm like, maybe he wants to stay on his feet. He's a wacky... If a guy just stays traditional and nobody's sloppier than Alex Oliveira... Shit, I could switch back to Cowboy. I love this fight. I think this is such a fun fight.
Yeah.
This is a perfect co-main event.
No.
It's not even. It's the third one down because Greg Hardy's fighting Brennan Schaub.
But before we get there.
Like on the fast. No. Gosh.
Oliveira on DraftKings, 8,800 against the underdog in Mike Perry at plus 165, 7,400. the minus 205 favorite, Oliveira. Do you think you're going to play him at 8,800? Because on DraftKings, I'm going to spec him on there 30%. I don't necessarily see Perry on there.
I'm going to put Perry on some, and I'm going to put Oliveira on some. I think Mike Perry has a real shot. I have to hope he's doing something right. He just doesn't seem like he's... He just seems tough more than skilled, and I hate saying that. Oliveira decision.
Definitely one. Regardless of who wins in that one, it's going to be such a fun fight. Cannot wait for that one. But really, the biggest disgrace of the entire night is going to be the co-main event. And Greg Hardy coming in off of his first loss against returning Dmitry Smokliakov. Smokliakov came in the UFC, lost both of his fights in the UFC, and was immediately let go of at heavyweight, which should tell you something. There's not too many fighters that go 2-0 in heavyweight and out of there. They usually get 3 or 4 because you can just stack up sub finishes on them. He lost to Luis Henrique and then ended up losing to Cyril Asker via TKO when he did fight. Dmitry is a 34-year-old Russian fighting out of the Baltic Challenge scene. He is... I would say a Russian fighter, but I mean, these Russian fighters aren't necessarily known for their heavyweight competition type of guys. All those heavyweight guys, I don't know. I feel like when I think of Russian elite fighters, I think like 170 to 145. Like all these
big, huge guys don't really fit the bill.
Yeah, it just doesn't translate over all the time as much. And serviceable wrestling, okay punches, doesn't throw too many kicks in there, but Smokliakov just, if we saw a setup fight earlier in the night, this is also one. This is a returning guy who just beat a nobody off of a nowhere scene, off of a Kimura, and is coming in at a co-main event because Greg Hardy is such a big name. The disgrace here is that he lost his last fight and he's a co-main event. He lost his debut in the UFC and he is a co-main event.
I don't mind. I just don't think either of these guys are a big enough name. I think the last fight, bare minimum, move that up to the co-main.
Lineker, Sandhagen.
I agree. They shouldn't even be on the main card.
Kutalaba.
They shouldn't even be on the main card.
This is just absolutely shameful. Shame, UFC. You should be ashamed of yourselves. That is wrong. This is wrong. Absolutely. I don't want to watch this as a co-main event. I'm gonna, because someone's getting iced in here.
I'm going to be holding your eyes open.
Yeah, like, it's just absolutely a fight that doesn't need to be on here. Again, the debut for Hardy came in against Alan Crowder, and he lost via illegal knee disqualification. Hardy wasn't necessarily winning that fight either. He had a tough one when Crowder was able to eat those shots, and all of a sudden you saw Crowder go, oh shit, this guy's gassing. And Crowder started sticking his chin out and taunting the American top team football former NFL guy, and Hardy has 1 round gas tank from what I've seen. He throws all of his weight into his punches and doesn't think as soon as he gets later on, and that's because, again, he's been shot up to the top of the game because of his name and his pro NFL experience, where they're setting up this fight for him to get a knockout, and of course, he's probably going to get a knockout here, but...
They set up his last fight to get a knockout, just saying.
100%. I think Hardy still gets the knockout here. I don't know how much I'm going to put on it, but this isn't... I mean, I'm just waiting to fade Hardy, but they're giving him softballs right now. Like, wait till we see anyone with any little bit of talent. Because I'm still not betting on either of the guys Allen or Smokliakov. I think both of those guys lose any other fight they fight in the UFC.
How's his ground game?
Better for Smokliakov. It is good if he can get it to the ground. His takedowns are all right. Dan Hardy, though, he has shown good takedown defense because he's explosive. If this gets past the first round, Hardy's in trouble. I would 100% agree with that, but I just don't think Dmitry has
I am Hardy knockout round 1. Just because it seems like that's exactly what they're trying to do. Like, here's a co-main event. Let's blow this guy up. UFC Fort Lauderdale. They seem like a football town because this whole card was planned on being in Miami. And the second they found out it wasn't in Miami anymore, they stopped working at putting it together. That's kind of how I feel about it. I'm excited about it. Some fights are big enough to make up for other fights, but there's a lot of just like slim goulash thrown together. Anyways, Greg Hardy KO round 1. I might have it on a few because I feel like it's set up for that, and you're going to have it on your card. And I might have Smoke Liakov on one.
I agree. I think that you can actually put either one of these fighters on cards. And I'm going to go low percentage. I'm going to probably go like 10% on each one of these guys, both because they are heavyweights and we haven't seen the ground game of Hardy. He can be exploited here and be submitted. I wouldn't be surprised. But again, it's a setup fight. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying $9,300 for Hardy against Smokey Liakov's $6,900. Are you... Again, I said I'm going to probably do 10%. Like one and one of each.
1 and 1.
That's probably the best way to go.
Maybe 2 Hardy, 1 Smokey Liakov.
Probably right there.
Smoliakov.
So, to the main event we go. Smoliakov.
The lifeguard.
Oy, that's a rough one. That's a rough nickname right there. That's a rough one.
Russian Brennan Schaub. I should like him, huh?
Right?
No, just kidding.
Right. Or is he the knockoff?
Cheap version.
Exactly, the cheap version of Brendan Schaub. But we made it to the main event at 185 pounds. We have a profile fight. This one's changed around all over. And even though it's a short notice replacement, I actually really like this matchup in Jacare Souza coming in against Jack Hermansson on short notice. Hermansson is replacing already 3 or 4 guys. Souza is training out of the Orlando team with Perry. He moved to Orlando not long ago. The 26-6 fighters coming off of a win to Chris Weidman TKO punches in a fight that he was losing. Weidman was taking him to it until that knockout came. He lost a split decision to Gastelum, but beat Derek Brunson, also losing to Robert Whittaker TKO in there. Jacare Souza comes in with actually heavy hands, good uppercut, good jab, good hooks, and power in both hands. People that fight Souza do not walk away saying that guy punches softly. On the ground, though, Souza's where he makes his money. The alligator comes in, chomping off every limb that he can. He just overwhelms his guys on the ground, but we haven't really seen him go to the ground. He's kind of one of these guys that, like the wrestlers or jiu-jitsu guys, he got a couple knockouts and was like, oh, I like this. This is so much easier. I don't have to grind with these guys. And actually has really turned to his boxing more than anything. If it goes to the ground, he obviously has the advantage here, but Hermansson isn't a slouch. He definitely has some profile wins in there. 19-4. He's coming in with nothing to lose. I mean, people are expecting him to just get blown out of here, and he has a shot. He is a jack of all trades, got power in his hands, some really fun movement on his feet. Last beating as a huge underdog against David Branch. If you're following the beat, you're getting some money. That was a quick one. David Branch, though, I would say, we even said it here, that guy's kind of just fighting for a paycheck more than anything.
He was the underdog against David Branch?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah. But Branch had much more credentials in there, by the way, and a lot of people thought the ground game was going to go that way. But 2 in a row, he's got that guillotine. Hermansson does. He also beat Talis Latis in there, but has lost in the UFC to Thiago Santos TKO, and that was also just getting outgunned. He was eventually just eating too many big shots, but Hermansson has one of these oblique heavy kick styles as well. He really likes to kick that lead leg, throw out a good jab, turn and run in a... If you watch Jack Slack's Filthy Casuals Guide to Jack Hermansson, he's going to come out one with Souza as well. Just, Hermansson is working as well with... what's the name of that ground specialist who's creepy? John Danaher. He's using that John Danaher guillotine, which is kind of an older shoulder lock, but it's just Hermansson isn't somebody that you can sleep on, and I think a lot of people are sleeping in this spot on Hermansson. I thought that as well in the David Branch fight, but at 30 years old, he's still got another 2 years to really come into his own. This is a high-level fight. I think that striking-wise, eventually Souza's going to want to take this down, but I'm thinking a couple of these oblique kicks land early enough, and all of a sudden we see a limping Souza in there, and I know it's crazy. I know it is, but I'm going TKO round number 4 or 5 for Jack Hermansson, the slight underdog, plus 150. I just feel like Souza is starting to get towards that time where people are going to be using him as a stepping stone. And again, Hermansson's being overlooked here. A lot of people see this as an easy route, and once they get to the ground, I think Hermansson can hold his own. He's not going to submit Souza, but I think people are going to be surprised at him being able to get back up or get out of some of these submissions. And then striking-wise, I think Hermansson's able to pick him apart. Give me the underdog. Looking to make some money. Who do you have here and why?
I also have Jack Hermansson knockout. I just think it's going to happen a little earlier only because it has to. There is no way in 3 weeks, in 3 days, that Jack Hermansson has trained for a 5-round fight. We know Ronaldo at least had the opportunity for that. And he's gone that distance before. He's been the main event before. Everything leans toward the experience of Souza. So if Jack Hermansson wants to get it done, he has to do it within the first 15 minutes of the fight. But I think he's going to. I think the change up so many times for Souza and the different styles that he's going up against, Hermansson isn't a slouch. I think he's sneaky on the ground, deadly sneaky. I think he has tons of power. I think he could get a submission here. It just would have to come from behind, rear naked choke or something in a reversal. But I just think he has the better hands. Not only can I see him picking apart the legs, picking apart the mid, but I think he can knock out Ronaldo Souza and get the fight called. Yep, I like Hermansson. I'm going to move it to round 3 because of your late call, but no, I'm going to keep it round 2. Fast fight.
I actually had round 3 earlier and moved it to 4 and 5 as I was re-breaking it down with you. I'll move it back to 3 because I like what you're saying there. Hermansson does start. His gas tank looked good as well, but I like what you're saying with Souza. He's the one who traditionally has gone all 5. On DraftKings, Souza's going to be 8,900. Hermansson's going to be 7,300. I actually say you could probably put both of these guys on there, but I'm going to obviously have more exposure to Hermansson. I'm going to probably go more of like a 60-20 split.
Not a stack.
No. I'm going to go 60% Hermansson, 20% Souza.
I think I'm going to go 60 Hermansson, no Souza.
Oh, okay.
I don't feel good about Ronaldo here. I kind of think it's past his time, and this was kind of whether he was fighting Costa, whether he was fighting Yoel, whether he's fighting Jack Hermansson. I think Jack Hermansson's somebody sneaking. I think he's going to be an underdog for his next 3 fights until all of a sudden everyone's on the hype train and acting like they've been there from the beginning, and me and you are like, what?
You ain't listening.
What?
Because you ain't making money.
What else? So yeah, come say hi to us. We told you about our camouflage pants.
Quick Bandits bet of the night, because we have 2. We have the main event in Hermansson as a big underdog, and we also have Teixeira. I honestly feel a little more comfortable with Teixeira.
I do too. So I think that's a good Bandits bonus. The Teixeira bet. We have the one that we told you that it's going to be a flash submission. The Ben Saunders fight that's not going to go to the distance. So we have 100%. That bet.
Tons of bets, but there's so much going on this weekend as far as fights. Bellator's even got a card, but we don't like to muck up our.
We should make a poster. If you guys think of any clever sayings that we should put on our poster, and maybe tweet at us at Lesbo and the Bean, and you'll have to be listening to Sunday. It's going to be a show. We're going to be back. We're going to have to decide on our new name on Sunday after we're right fresh off the fight.
Oh my gosh. It's been such an incredibly week.
It's been too much. Whatever. It might happen at 2:01. We don't have a boss.
Very true.
Only
Very
you guys.
true.
Thanks for listening.
Lesbo the Bean.
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.